Violin. The first violin was probably actually invented somewhere around 12th or 11th century, actually. Um, and actually probably in Germany. I believe the first one was in Germany or something. And it might have gone back all the way back to year 300. We did have some year 300 stuff. Anyway, though, the first one was for testing out string strength, believe it or not. We used some wooden cogs and a little thingy, and it was oak wood cogs, I believe, or something, an oak wood screw. And we'd turn the thing, and we'd have this. There was actually this big thingy that you'd turn, and you would tighten up the string and the wire. We were testing wire and string basically, or hair. And basically, we'd tighten it up as much as we could possibly could without it actually going bing and breaking. We were actually testing out string and yarn and things like silk and also wire. So we only had three strings on it basically, and it wasn't for music, of course. It was for testing, and they had it. They have it somewhere. It's just this big board and two posts, and one for you wind it up on one side, and then you put it through the thingy, and then it grabs it, and then you pull it, and it'll test out, and it tests the total strength of the string basically, or the wire. And it was somewhere around 11th century or 900, year 900 or something like that. And LS, of course, Lucifer Star. Anyway, they were pulling it tight. They pulled it tight. They were ding 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 ding, and they were testing out, and they were testing also the musical notes of the things, and also trying to get an idea of measuring that kind of stuff. Anyway, it was a measuring experiment and also a string strength experiment, and they would tighten it down. And yeah, only three because I only paid for three. I was like, well, originally it was one, and then we paid for three, and then I was like, well, three. We'll do three strings. And then I was like, oh, I wonder if we can amplify it. So we started. So I asked them to put a box underneath it, just a square box. It's very simple. And so they put a square box, ding 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 ding, and they with a hole in the middle. Well, we've tried it without the hole and with the hole and stuff like that. But somewhere around 11th century, year 900. Anyway, and then later on, I was like, well, let's get some really good wood for this because I want it to last because I was going to make them. So I was like, well, maybe we should start making them. Maybe other people would like it. So, um, so I ordered some of the finest wood, I think even an ironwood one. I asked, I wanted one made out of ironwood and one made out of oak and one made out of some cherry wood, and they had a couple different woods, and they said, well, the hardwood seemed to do the best. So, anyway, so we started making them. The first violin, yeah. Anyway, at first it was like a guitar, ding 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 ding, and then I think we were messing around when they were trying to do the tones and everything else like that. I think they tried putting something across or something like that to see what that would do. And I think it was vibrations as well or something. Anyway, though, yeah, it was somewhere around 11th century or somewhere around year 900 or probably year 300 actually. I'm thinking about year 300 because by the time year 30 came around, we were moving along pretty good. So anyway, so definitely by 11th century or 9, I'm thinking 8, about 18th century we actually started them. That's when they actually started. But, they all degraded and fell apart. I mean, things don't usually last thousands of years. And so I built the first one, LS, Lucifer Star, and it used white star wood, white star oak wood and stuff. LS wood, Lucifer Star. Everyone used to call me Ellis or Lassie or something, but it was LS as in Lucifer Star, not LS as in person. But they always called me Ellis. Ellis! Ellis this, Ellis that, Lassie, Ellis. But because it's LS. And then White Star or whatever. Anyway, but everything was always LS. So, because it's my initials. So, anyway, so yeah, somewhere around year 900 or 11th century, the first violin. So, call it that. Anyway, though, but yeah, and then they was a square box, and then I was like, well, let's make it a little artistic. So because I mean it was just a square box, it's kind of boring. So I was like, well, yeah, and I think we were pressing some wood and doing some steam pressing and stuff like that. So I was like, well, let's get the steam press on it. Let's see if we can. And at first, I think they tried it dry, and then they tried it wet, and then they found out the secret was steam and heat to press it in. And then we were making these violins and musical instruments and making them of a couple different sizes. So as a company, and I was like, yeah, cool, sell them. So we started selling them, and well, I mean, now people play them all the time, and people, it's funny because it started out as just a string and wire experiment, to test for strength because I was trying to get the stronger string, testing out different kinds of types of different things, and also to test out a metal thing, you make it as thin as you can, and then you pull it really tight. And they were noticing it was going ding, and it kind of made a nice little sound. So they started messing around with it more. So anyway, so that's how I ended up being LS musical instruments. So yeah, Lucifer Star. Anyway, so of course my Titanic had LS musical instruments on board, and LS cards, and LS this, and LS that, basically the whole world. And that's why they called me Ellis. It's actually L, not E. So anyway, it's a little joke though. ELS, whatever. So anyway, LS. Yeah. It's in my initials. Just like all. So anyway, yeah, I know. I've just been kicking around all this time. So anyway, but that's where the first violin came from. Strength.